Good morning, everyone. Kris here with Inspired Energy. Good morning, Hartwell.
Good morning.
Yes, all in a
You and
new
everyone.
place. You're in your new place, so
I'm
everything
in a
is
brand
new
new place
today.
with a bookshelf that's still empty of books.
But that's good. You have lots of room for new opportunities to come in. So
Yeah.
this morning, what are we going to be talking about?
Well, we're talking about Aries, Kris. And so, what we're talking about here is we're going off road a bit, which is my metaphor for trusting yourself to come up with your own knowledge.
Right.
But we're going to be, we're off-roading and synthesizing today. So we're looking at astrology, how it meets with human design, how it meets with the gene keys a little bit today.
Cool.
So, but we're starting with Aries. And what
Mhm.
we're going to be looking at is, okay, astrology says this about Aries, which covers 30 degrees. Well, in that 30 degrees, we have 5. We have 5 gates of the human design system. So
Mhm.
how does it match up? Can we see some linkages there?
Mhm.
And so you're an Aries. Why
Yes,
don't
I
you start
am.
out? And you know a fair bit about astrology because you
Mhm.
just took my astrology course. So
Well, I was
what,
present.
yeah, what can you tell us about Aries to start a conversation about this? What do you
Well,
know about Aries and yourself?
Well, first of all, I thought that when you asked me that, what is appropriate is that Aries is also the first sign in the zodiac,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So when we talk about Aries, the things that come to mind for me is the pioneer, that person who strikes out against, you know, the the norm of ways of doing things and tries to do new things, break new ground, um, all those kinds of things, as well as the passion and the
Mhm.
energy to do so, right?
Right. Fire sign.
Yeah, and just like that, nothing can keep you down kind of thing. It's just like just keep going, just keep going. You have that energy behind you, right? So those are the things that like really stand out for me about Aries is the pioneer, the initiating, the energy, the drive, all those kinds of things.
That's a really good summary.
Oh, thank
To
you.
that,
I must have been listening.
to that, I would add, Aries is often, yeah, the love of being first, the pioneer, the devil, daredevil, the
Mhm.
survivor sometimes is an archetype for Aries. And, the energy of um, being kind of oriented towards the future and taking initiative
Mhm.
and being courageous, not always manifesting courage, but living a life that's somehow in the context of courage or cowardice, or finding the courage to take that next step. So there can be
Mhm.
an impulsiveness to Aries
Or a
and an
strength.
impatience,
Yeah.
you know, and
Mhm.
a dismissal, I suppose, of things that aren't about this forward moving or forward
Mhm.
oriented
Yeah.
life energy.
That makes sense. Yeah. Why
Yeah,
do I want to look at the past? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good summary from Aries now.
Mhm.
So let us look at some of the gates
Mhm.
and see, okay, do they match up? Are we going to see a linkage here?
Mhm.
Now, I'll list them for us.
Okay.
The first gate, gate 25, which happens on the spring equinox, is called the gate of the spirit of the self. It's all about
Mhm.
innocence. Um, and um, And the second one, the gate of gate 17, the gate of opinions,
Mhm.
is about pattern recognition and forming logical patterns to be of service in the world.
Mhm.
Um, I'm going to whisk through these and then we'll circle back. Gate 21, which is called the gate of biting through or the gate of the hunter, is about wanting to control things, wanting to be materially independent, Of course,
Mhm.
independence is very much of an Aries word.
Yes, it
Aries
is.
are to be very
Yeah.
independent.
They don't like being told what to do. That's for sure. Yeah.
And gate 51 is the gate of shock,
Hmm.
and it's about it's about being courageous. It's about taking risks. It's about
Hmm.
often being very gutsy. And gate 42, which is the gate of growth, is it's all about the tenacity to stay with a cycle in order to maximize inherent potential. So it's an energy for growing, which also sounds like Aries.
It always
So
sounds like you're talking about patience, kind of like planting a seed and waiting for it to germinate and grow, right?
well, tenacity often has maybe a stick with it sort of feeling, but
Hmm.
it's kind of that willingness to grab on, to
Mm.
something. There can be a
Like a pit
uh,
bull, grab on and not let go.
it makes me think of a wasp or a fly.
Mm. Hmm.
It's how they bounce up against a barrier and they keep doing it.
Hmm.
That seems like Aries a little bit sometimes.
Hmm.
It's like I'm going to keep going, and it's not the same kind of stubbornness as Taurus.
Hmm.
That bullheadedness store. And um, persevering energy, or that Aries is more a starting energy,
Hmm.
a growth oriented energy.
Hmm.
So let's go back now a little bit slower. Of course, we only have 15 minutes, so
Right.
uh, so did anything catch your attention going through that, Kris?
Well, I mean all of them, but gate 25 is the gate of the spirit of the self. So can you talk about that more? Like, is that the what you talk about? Like, I could confuse that for ego when I listen to that explanation, probably. But can you dive more into that and tell us more what
Yeah,
that
let's link
is?
it up with human design now and talk about
Mm-hmm.
the centers.
Mm-hmm.
So gate 25 is actually in the G center, which is our center of direction
Mm-hmm.
and love. So all the
Mm-hmm.
gates of lots of the gate of love and of direction are in the G center. It's the higher self. So
Mm-hmm.
here we have Aries, the first day of the spring, the initiation of the cycle. And what initiates the cycle? Well, the spirit of the self, that the innate quality of universal love is
Mm-hmm.
what is having us start into anything.
Right.
So that's a real beautiful description for part of the potentiality of what Aries represents is
Right.
that innocence.
Mm-hmm.
So Aries isn't just about the warrior, it's about this energy or spark to enter into life with this innocent spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's quite beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And it does match up reasonably well with some of the things that we think about Aries.
Right.
Now, if we look at the next one, 17, Gate of Opinions in the Ajna,
Mm-hmm.
this is all about our desire to answer the doubts that we experience in life by coming up with some kind of logical opinion about it. But the desire is that those opinions serve something, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Mm-hmm.
And there is in the logical circuit an orientation. So the
Mm-hmm.
abstract sensing circuit has a bit of an orientation towards the past, which wants to make sense out of experience. But it makes sense that an Aries energy, gate
Mm-hmm.
17, a mental energy, be oriented towards intuiting or being related to the future oriented energy of the logic circuit.
Yeah, I can agree with that for myself.
Yeah.
That is something that, and you know that's about me, right? It's like, okay, well, okay, that happened. So like, now what are we going to do? How do we move forward? How do we resolve this? Like, where are we going? What are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
that's constantly where my mind is at, is always like resolution about getting over it and moving on and, making
Yes.
progress. So that
Right.
definitely
More
with
looking,
the
yeah,
Aries,
not you don't dwell on spilt milk. You just
like
go forward.
wallow in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that makes sense. And I
Hmm.
mean, the highest energy of that is omniscience. If we're, putting in the gene keys,
Hmm.
farsightedness and omniscience. And I
Hmm.
think in my overall experience of studying astrology for a long time, there can be that farsightedness to Aries.
Right.
Now, if we look at the next one, which is, I
Hmm.
think, is your gate, your sun gate, where your sun is, it's gate
21.
30, gate 21.
Hmm.
And gate 21 is in the ego, which is about willpower.
Hmm.
And, this is the energy that fuels the tribal circuit.
Hmm.
And there's a need with this circuit to be materially independent. And there is this ego energy. And I
Hmm.
think one of the things people would say who study astrology is they would say there can be this egotistical energy to Aries.
Hmm.
That is something people would say.
Hmm.
So
Independent, strong, that kind of thing. Yeah.
independent, strong
Hmm.
ego energy. There's in that independence, there's an egoishness.
Hmm.
So that kind of makes sense. That sort of meshes reasonably well with the Aries archetype we're seeing from
Well,
astrology.
I can tell you a story that will bring that to even more of
Okay.
a light bulb moment. And that is that the relationships that I was in was always with another Aries. So
Hmm.
when you get two people who would both have that gate of control, you've got this battle going on between the two. So the need for excitement and passion and the fire draws the Aries together. But if they can't get this gate of control or the gate of the hunter under control, and that's in their relationship,
Hmm.
that will just eventually cause an issue, especially when one starts out being subservient, which tends to be the woman. Um,
Uh,
but when they start out being subservient and then all of a sudden they go, no, I'm not really this person. I am independent and I want my own things and I want to be able to do things my way. Then that creates the friction within the relationship.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And did this partner of yours also have his son in the same gate?
That I would have to check. It's something we could explore,
That
but
would
I
be
have three of
intriguing.
them. And so
Yeah.
three of my partners, their birthdays are all within 2 weeks of my own.
Right.
So there's
Interesting.
that Aries energy, when we talk about
Yeah.
it from an astrological point of view, that creates that can create that tension if you have this gate where you need control. Like I could see it causing an issue. So
Yeah, for
that would be
sure.
something for us to look at, I guess, Harwell.
Yeah. Well, and it's always good to kind of you want it to spark off your personal experience.
Hmm.
Now, if we continue forward, the next gate
Hmm.
of is gate 51, the gate of shock is also in the ego center,
Hmm.
right? So isn't that interesting? We have Aries having there's only four gates in the ego,
Hmm.
and Aries accounts for two of them. Now, gate 21, which we just left, its energy is authority and valor.
Hmm.
Now, with gate 51, we have initiative and awakening. And
Hmm.
we've already seen how initiative is a word that's been commonly used with Aries.
Hmm.
And the 51 is that shock, that spark to want to go beyond,
Yeah.
and the gutsiness to often back it up. So it's the daredevil gate.
Yeah.
It's the skydiving gate.
Hmm.
It's that kind of energy. Now, something very notable here is that two of the Aries gates will make up an entire channel. So if you take gate 25 and take gate 51, bridging the higher self, the G center,
Hmm.
and the lower self, the ego, you
Hmm.
have the bridge to catapult or create a connection from the ego energy to the higher self energy. And that's the channel of initiation. And I
Hmm.
found that very, very intriguing and very powerful sort of anchoring point for all these gates of Aries.
Hmm. Well, it's interesting that you say that Aries has 2 out of 4 of the gates in the ego. And
Yes.
then that would also account for why people feel that they're this strong, independent, egotistical, whatever kind of personality. If they have that much of that gate or, that center, it would, express itself that way.
Yeah. But interestingly, you can also see how, even though it's very individualistic or independent, the ego circuitry is embedded within the tribe.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the hunters going out, to take care, do what's needed for the tribe.
Yeah, provide for the tribe. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not apart in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Now the gate 42, the gate of growth,
Mm-hmm.
it's in the sacral center.
Mm-hmm.
So here we have the energy to stay with a cycle in order to maximize its potential.
Mm-hmm.
So maximizing potential does feel to me like an Aries thing. It's like, how can we grow? How can we expand here?
Mm-hmm.
And it is, that energy is an energy of celebration. And it's also an energy of detachment, not being that attached to things.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, because Aries is not a sentimental sign, And what I need to mention, I neglected to mention this. It almost skipped me by.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the gates straddle signs. So you'll have a bit of it, say, in Aries and a bit in Taurus.
Mm-hmm.
And I have my moon in late Aries, and so I tend to really enjoy Aries people. But that gate is gate 3, and it straddles Aries into Taurus.
Mm-hmm.
Gate 3 is also in the sacral center, so it's a very energizing gate. It's about the energy to. It's called the gate of ordering, and it is about reaching for the mutation in life. Bringing order out of chaos. So it is an energy that is seeking change, and it is. It's got a pioneering energy to it.
That's the one that's associated with the 360, the channel of mutation.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Yeah.
So one of the Aries gates is gate 3, and that's a gate that I have, and that's that that push or the energy to go towards the future and find a new order.
Yeah, that's what we have in common. We both have that, right?
Yeah,
and I have the 60. Yeah.
So I'm glad I thought about that, because it is a straddling gate. And those are the gates of Aries. I think the one that seems a little hardest or more of a reach for me is the gate 17, the gate of opinions. But it does have that sort of farsightedness, future-orientedness to it. But that's the one that seems a little bit hardest to fit into what I think of as the Aries archetype.
And see, for me, I relate to that.
Okay. Well, you have the channel of logic, which isn't part of the channel of logic, but you have one of the channels of the logic circuitry. So
yeah, but I find that that's, for me as an Aries, that I'm always doing that. I'm always thinking about the future. Or how can I make things better? Or, like I'm always looking to prevent something from happening before it happens too. So there's that, I don't know what you would call it, but I'm always looking for all the different scenarios to try and make the best outcome. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun exploring that, I think. Yeah. We're going to do this for each of the 12 signs as we go forward.
Oh my goodness. I've been not like, there's a whole bunch of questions here. Jennifer was asking, you teach astrology? Yes, Hartwell teaches astrology. In fact, we're going to be releasing his online course. We just did one live. So you can watch for that on our Facebook page and on our website. So thank you, Jennifer. Amazing. Straddling gates, a new concept for me. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for all your comments and your interactions. So one of the other things that would be fun is what are we going to explore next? Are we going to just keep moving through the astrological chart and take Taurus, which is next? Or
Yes, we're going to do all 12 now. So we know what we've got a plan for the next 11 weeks. So
yeah.
that's a good thing.
So
But I think it's fun. Hopefully
Mhm.
people are finding it fun. That's an area of my interest right now. So you guys have to come
Yeah.
along on my ride.
Yeah, and it would be really cool. Like, thank you, Jennifer, for your feedback and your interaction. But it would be really fun if, you know, people who jump on, if you have that astrological sign or these gates or whatever, that there's actually a back and forth with us. So we have more material to talk about, because we each are designed uniquely. So we could be missing or not going into one that you might want to know more about. So yeah, please interact with us. Thank you, Jennifer.
One last thing that I might like to say,
Mhm.
Kris. I mean, I'm finding a lot to say about this,
Mhm.
but you know, this brings it up and said, you know, so in astrology we have 12 types, you know, by
Mhm.
sun sign or whatever.
Right.
Um, but I mean, from a human design perspective, you could say there are 64 types. You
Right.
know, it's interesting. So there are 6 ways to be an Aries, you know, because
Mhm.
we've seen 6 cases just now. So,
Right.
and yet we do there. It held together somewhat well when we looked at the cross pollination there.
Mhm. Cool. So Jennifer is telling me she's 4-1 quad right, 16, 9, 63, 64, manifesting generator. Are you an Aries though? Is that because I didn't see where you listed your astrological sign? So, okay, well, we're just going to move on and sign off for today, but join us next Wednesday. She's a Gemini. So you'll have to wait till we get to Gemini because we're going to do Taurus next. But if you guys want to dive deeper into your own charts or into certain gates or into certain channels or connections or have a synergy between another partner or child in your relationships, then you can give us a call at 587-596-3333 and book an appointment here with Hartwell. We do online as well as in person. So you're welcome to give us a call to dive deeper. And thank you, Hartwell, for always sharing your knowledge. And we'll see you guys next Wednesday at 9 a.m. God bless.